Let's stay, though, with the theme and return to those sickening sermons we heard delivered by several Muslim clerics in Sydney's southwest, where, amongst other things, Jews were described as monsters, rats, bloodthirsty and vile. I played a little of those two sermons at the top of the show, and a complaint has now been formally lodged against those two preachers with the Human Rights Commission by one of Australia's peak Jewish groups. And that organisation, the Executive Council of Australian Jewry, has been forced into this position because of little or no action from authorities. Joining me now, it's their co-CEO, Alex Ryvchin. Alex, thank you for your time. I'm sorry it's yet again on this terrible stain on our national consciousness. But what's put you in the position where you have to bring forward a complaint like this and the authorities have done so little to date?
Well, thank you, Peter. Since October 7, we've seen this rolling sequence of sermons on a weekly basis, really, each more horrific than the last, which are deliberately intended to incite hatred and violence against our community. And coming at a time of heightened tension in our society, this isn't merely individuals spouting their own views. These are religious clerics, authorities who are listened to, whose views are adhered to by their followers. It's an extremely dangerous phenomenon, and the laws in this country and in this state clearly are inadequate to deal with this. There has been no prosecution at all. And so we felt we had to take action to protect our society and to protect our community. Ultimately, we're the roof body of the Jewish community. Our obligation is to protect Jewish life and Jewish way of life, and we felt this legal action was sorely needed.
I think what makes me saddest about what we've seen in some of those clerical speeches from the imams, Alex, is that they are online, so they're available, as we've seen in the past where there has been radicalisation of young people, that they're available to young people, that their parents may not even know that they're watching them. They'll certainly go around the world. That's a shocking message to come out of Australia.
It is, and I can tell you it's been noticed around the world. I mean, I was in New York recently to meet with the Jewish leaders of other major communities around the world, and they're all asking me what the hell is going on in Australia. This was always viewed as a beacon of multiculturalism, a cohesive society, a tolerant place where foreign conflicts and hatreds aren't imported. But that's clearly changed, and something needs to be done about this. We can't have a situation where these religious leaders are inciting their communities against their fellow Australians. That's not who we are. That's not what Australia is about.
Look, it does strike me as strange that we have that example. I was talking there with Archbishop Fisher. You will know him from Sydney, the Catholic Archbishop, about the case of the Hobart Archbishop who was hauled before the Human Rights Commission down there because he was teaching the Catholic edict that marriage is between a man and a woman. And yet the same human rights apparatus in this country can let the imams spew their hate as they have been doing now for months. There's no great censure of them. You've been forced to take an action to put it on the table, to force them to look at it. But they've been criticised recently for not adequately addressing anti-Semitism. How confident are you they're going to take your complaint seriously?
Well, I think there's something broken in our society where you have people professing good faith views derived from their religion and suffering greatly for it, and others speak to their religious views in a way that incites hatred and violence towards other Australians, and they get away with it. There's a great state of impunity there. In terms of the Human Rights Commission's ability to deal with this, they've dealt with 18C complaints well in the past. There's a process of conciliation, and if there's no prospect of a satisfactory conciliation, which I think will be the case in this instance because the individuals we're dealing with, it's terminated and then the matter goes to the federal court. So one way or another, we're determined to get justice for our community. And as you said at the top of the segment, the things that these clerics have said are so egregious, so boldly offensive and horrific, and intended to incite violence and hatred against Australians on the basis of their race and ethnicity, that I think that any decision maker will find in our favour. I think it's a very clear-cut matter.
I hope you're right, Alex, and it is a great shame that you're forced to actually bring the action yourselves. Thank you very much for your time. Alex Ryvchin there.